What's going on, all you wild video game enthusiasts? Logan Myerz back here for Cinephellas.com. Back here doing more videos in the Level Up with Cinephellas video game series. Been having a great time this year with my PlayStation 5. Had it for a few months now. Put probably 80 hours into it thus far, playing a few games. Today I'm going to be talking about the free game that comes with the PS5. I'm talking about Astro's Playroom. So if you guys aren't familiar or know much about the PlayStation 5, this comes free with the console, so that should be a good selling point for you guys. Love this console thus far. Love the haptic feedback with the controllers, making you feel part of the video game. Really feel everything that you're doing in the game, such as walking, flying, jumping. Feel the rain falling on you. Like it's very interactive. It feels like you're in the video game, and that's the whole point of the controller and the haptic feedback. And the people at Sony and PlayStation really knocked it out of the park with this controller. If you guys have been following our channel, I just reviewed Spider-Man Miles Morales a few days ago. Had a great time with that game. And the second game I played is Astro's Playroom, and I had a great time with this game as well. So Astro's Playroom, being a free game, this is definitely aimed at kids. It's very fun, very interactive. The graphics are very beautiful. Playing this in 4K, 60 frames per second. It's very smooth. The transitions are really great from place to place. And it really gets you hooked on the game early on. And we ended up playing this with our 6-year-old son, Bodeman. Shout out to you. I love that kid. He had a great time with this. He loves robots and learning, so this is a very educational game. And this is a game that really got him involved early on, and he just kept playing it every time he came over to Dad's house. And we'd play this on the weekends for a few hours with him, but he really loved it. We ended up really loving it and having a great time with it. And I was saying this is an educational game. This is like inside the PlayStation console. You have all the hardware, which are all the different levels, being the CPU, the memory, SSD, solid state drive, cooling springs, the list goes on and on. It's very educational. It teaches young kids that maybe aren't familiar with computers or hardware, things like that. It really teaches them the different parts and what it takes to build a console or a computer. So it's really a selling point for me, being in IT and teaching young kids and educational tools and things like that. Play Astro's Playroom if you're not familiar with all that stuff. And if you guys have been watching our past reviews, I've been a PlayStation guy since the very beginning. Always been team PlayStation over Microsoft, Xbox. Never really cared for those or the controllers or the games. But I think PlayStation does a really good job satisfying the longtime fans like myself. They continue to put out great content, great games for their console, and this being one of them, especially when it's free. So if you guys are worried about paying the big ticketed price for the new console, at least you have a game to play for free that comes with it. And this is more or less like a tech demo of how to use the new controller. It's very interactive. You have to move it around and do certain things to get through parts of the game. You learn pretty quick. It's not a complicated game, but you learn pretty quick how to use the controller and how to get from one place to the next. So at the game, like the main place is CPU Plaza, where you're hanging out, and you can go to the different other areas of the game, being the cooling springs, the GPU jungle, which is probably one of my favorite parts of the game, going through the jungle, come across a bunch of different creatures. And then you have the PlayStation Labo. But basically throughout the game, you can pick up old artifacts. They call them artifacts in the game, which is basically like old controllers, like the old camera they had on the PlayStation. Different pieces of hardware that have been introduced over the years throughout the different consoles, starting with PlayStation 1 all the way to PlayStation 5. So you collect those throughout the game. There's also puzzle pieces that you collect in these different areas of the game that you can put together on the wall in the main room of this game. That's really paying homage to all the different generations of consoles PlayStation's put out. You basically put this puzzle together by gathering the puzzle pieces, and it teaches you, as the audience and young kids, the history. This is like a love letter to PlayStation and all the different consoles and how much gaming has changed, since the beginning, 20 years ago. How far it's come over the years from the beginning to PlayStation 5 and how beautiful and realistic games look now compared to back then. And this is for the fans and the people that truly love the PlayStation console and the platform and the video games that they put out. So let's talk about the controller with the haptic feedback. through the different areas of the game, such as being the cooling springs. You're going to see a lot of ice in this level. Basically, you're going to be jumping on ice cubes and going on the water and trying to get from one place to the next. And with the controller, it has a built-in mic and speaker, but in this area in cooling springs, you have to blow in the controller. It's like a pinwheel, and it pushes you off on this big iceberg or piece of ice jump to get to other icebergs and pieces of ice to get coins and artifacts and puzzle pieces and things like that. It's pretty complicated, but once you get the hang of it, like how to control it and use the controller to your advantage. And it's really cool with the controller, you have to turn it like this, like you're actually driving, and that's how the haptic feedback works, and you feel it within your fingers, and it feels like you're jumping on things and you're on top of the iceberg. But that's definitely a really cool level, a cool area that you get to explore in this game. It's how to, keep your composure and keep your balance on these icebergs and getting from one point to the next. And GPU Jungle's definitely one of my favorite places to be in this game. It's probably a little more complicated compared to the other places, but it's cool because you become this robotic monkey and you have to climb up on the rocks, and if you miss a rock, you fall to your death and you have to start over again. But again, using that controller, you have to turn. And when you turn the controller, it's like you're climbing on the rocks, and it's very interactive, and you can feel that in the feedback and the vibrations of the controller and the trigger. And it's really cool. I love how they did that. Again, this is much like a tech demo of learning how to use a controller, and this game really does that for you from start to finish. Starting out the game, you're not really sure what you're doing. You pick up on it pretty quick, and by the end of the game, you're like an expert. So that's pretty interesting, but GPU Jungle is really awesome. Lots of cool robots, like spiky things that come out that try to kill you. They have like ghosts or ghouls that look like, and they shoot these balls at you, and you have to kill those things too. And there's a lot of coins throughout the game that you have to collect, much like Sonic the Hedgehog. You can collect these coins and redeem them and get other things, but really fantastic, and I love GPU Jungle. I thought the whole look of it looked like a real jungle. Being this monkey and you're climbing across all these rocks and trying to fight off all these other robots and things that come across your way. It's really fun, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. Me and my son were playing this. We got stuck in this part where this huge thing looks like a rhino. My son calls it a rhino. I call it a dragon. But shoots balls at you, and you have to jump over the balls. If it hits you, you die. You have to start over. But that was one of the more complicated areas that it took a while to get through. Other areas you go through is Memory Meadow and SSD Speedway, which is really cool, is where you learn how to fly the little ship. Again, you have to use that controller with the triggers on the left and right to put on the gas or let go and brake. And you have to move the controller as you're flying through space and things are coming at you. You're making sure they're not trying to hit you and then you die. Another great example of using that controller and learning how to use it, how to turn it as you're flying and put on the gas to go faster and get around these things that are jumping out at you. And all the different robots and things that show up along the way in this game are really well done. A few of them that kind of pissed me off because it took me a while to get through it, but with that being said, it's part of the game. It's not supposed to be easy. So with that being said, I had an absolute blast with Astro's Playroom, released for free on the PlayStation 5. So if you guys have not gotten this console, it's a hot commodity. It's hard to find, but it should be better since it's not the holidays anymore. Hopefully that Sony will continue to put out more consoles so you guys can experience this and love it as much as I did. Astro's Playroom is the second game I played on this console. Played it through a few weekends. You could probably play this in one sitting. It's not super complicated, more of a tech demo and a love letter to old PlayStation and all the consoles they put out throughout the years. And I think you guys will have a really great time with this console, especially if you have little kids or family or anything like that. It's a game you can all play together. You catch on to things pretty quick and more or less learning how to use a controller. And I do have to throw this out there. This is the first game I've ever played on PlayStation. I got the Platinum Trophy. Why? Because, I don't know, I just play through the stories in most games and move on to the next. But this one, it seemed more kid-oriented, and, I didn't think it was going to be too complicated to get the Platinum Trophy, which it wasn't. There's 10 hidden trophies throughout the different levels in this game that you have to find. They're there if you're looking. So stick with it if you're trying to get that Platinum Trophy. This is probably one of the more easier games to get the trophy in. So with that being said, Astro's Playroom, the free game on the PlayStation 5, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 Astro hair pieces. Where'd it go? So I'm interested in hearing your guys' thoughts on Astro's Playroom. What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What game are you looking forward to playing on the PlayStation 5? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe. This is Logan Myerz signing out from the GPU jungle. Ooh, do the monkey. Until the next video game review and the Level Up with Cinephellas video game series. Cheers!